Joshua, the son of Nun, set out from the Acacia Cove 2 men to spy secretly. Go view the land, even Jericho. And as they went, they came unto a harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. Now we see here in the first place, they came to a harlot's home. Now, doesn't seem to be the best choice for someone to, or men to be going on a reconnaissance mission to show up at that place. So supposedly they were supposed to be God-fearing men. Now it seemed though that Jericho was on a kind of a hub, a trade route, and many travelers came to the city from different parts of the country. So the spies thought that they would hopefully blend in And some commentators say that Rahab may have been given kind of a bad rap, a bad name. Some say that she might have been sort of an innkeeper instead of the harlot that they proclaim, and that her establishment offered food and lodging and maybe other amenities. But like Simon the leper, and Jesus had interaction with him, and him being a leper, he wasn't supposed to be in close contact with others. So it seemed like Jesus would have healed him at some point in time. Nevertheless, Simon would be known as Simon the leper. Now the children of Israel were camped just across the Jordan River, and the citizens of Jericho could see them. And they knew that they wanted to take possession of the promised land. Jericho at this time was in code red, high alert, a state of readiness. Verses 2 and 3. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men and hither to the night of the children of Israel to search out the country. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, Bring forth men that are come to thee, which are entered into thy house, for they be come to search out all the country. Now the spies wanted to get a feel of the country, and what was their preparation. But either their dress or their accent, they were found out quickly. Now, for some reason, the king showed up at Rahab's house, and evidently she was the center of all hospitality. In verses 4 through 7. And the woman took the 2 men and hid them and said, There came unto me men, but I wist them where they were. And it came to pass about the time of the shutting the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out, and where the men went, I do not know. Pursue after them quickly, or thou shalt overtake them. But she brought them up to the roof of the house and hid them with stalks of flax, which she laid on the border in the roof. And the men pursued after them by the way of the Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as which pursued after them had gone out, they shut the gate. Now it's either harvest time or somewhere similar to harvest time, and flax was one of their staples, and it was used for making rope. And for some reason, Rahab dyed it scarlet. In the New Testament, there was a lady named Lydia, and she was a seamstress that made cloth and dyed it purple. Maybe Rahab did this as a kind of a sideline as Lydia did. Now, some might wonder why God would use a woman who had a questionable past, and a questionable life, and was now telling lies. At this time, the lie was the least of her problems. If caught harboring the enemy, She would have been killed for treason. And me, even her family, likewise. But it's like the young boy being scolded by his mother for telling lies. He said at the time the lie was a very present help in time of trouble. So you young people, take notice. You can quote scripture, but make sure you quote it properly. They didn't think they heard me at all, but remember that too. Verses 8 through 10. Before they lay down, she came upon the roof, and she said unto them, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, that your terror has fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land became faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water in the Red Sea, and when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the kings of the Amorites, who were on the other side of the Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. Now being on the trade route, the cities of Jericho had heard of the miracles the Lord had did for the Israelites, the parting of the Red Sea, the destroying of the kingdoms. This was what the spies wanted to hear. Then they knew that the city was to be theirs. Verse 11. As soon as we had heard these things, our heart did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is the God of heaven above and earth beneath. Now Rahab may have done praying beforehand, and seeing all the different cultures coming in through Jericho, the different cults, the superstitions, beliefs, and then looking over the wall to the encampment of the other Israelites, seeing the cloud shading them the area in the daytime, and the fire in the cloud at night. The manna that the Israelites received every day, and thinking every day in the organization of the camp, thinking to herself, this is the God I want to serve. Verses 12 and 13. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye may show kindness unto me, unto my father's house, and give me a true promise. Be faithful to me, and I'll be faithful to you. We are all she saved the spies, and I have been. She saved the spies, and I have been faithful to you. We are all under a death sentence, and sooner or later, we all are under a death sentence, and sooner or later we will die. And it'd be nice to grow old like Moses, climb a mountain, and then fall asleep. Jesus has paid our penalty for death. And if we are faithful to the end, we won't see the second death. Verse 14. And the man said unto her, our lives are yours, if you utter not this our business. And it shall be, when the Lord hath given us the land, that you will deal kindly and truly with thee. Our lives are yours. This is called substitution. Jesus has gained his life for us, for our lives. Verses 15 and onward, 20. And she let them down through the court through the window, and her house was upon the wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. And she said unto them, get you to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers return. And afterward you may go your way. And the men said unto her, we will be blameless of this oath which thou hast made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window, which thou didst let us down by. And And thou shalt bring your father and your mother and all the brethren, and all that I have into thy home unto thee. And it shall be that whosoever shall go out the doors of thy house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whosoever shall be in with thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon him. And if thou utter this our business, we will be quit of thine oath, which thou hast made us swear. Speaking of the blood, Jesus has paid penalty for our sins with his own blood. And as the days of the Passover, when the blood was sprinkled on the doorposts, their lives were spared. Verse 21. And she said, according to your words, so it be. And she sent them away, and they departed. And she bound the scarlet lying in the window. Did she waste any time in securing the cord in the window? Did the spies actually know when they were coming back? Does anyone know when Jesus is coming back? People today want to live for the devil until the 11th hour and then change. Trouble is, we don't know when our time is up. As the thief on the cross, the only example pretty much of the 11th hour conversion. There are signs of Jesus coming, and he tells us to watch and be ready. 22, the end of the chapter. And they went and came to the mountain and abode there 3 days until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them through all the way, but found them not. So the two men returned and descended from the mountain and passed over, and came to Joshua the son of Nun and told him all things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, truly the Lord hath delivered us into their hands, for even all the inhabitants of the country did faint because of us. It was a positive report which Joshua wanted to hear, and he got it. Now in verse 3, Joshua had the officers go through the camp telling the people, when they'll see the Ark of the Covenant moving forward by the priests, they are to back up. Now after 4 years of traveling, they were probably pretty good at it. The priests carrying the ark came to the Jordan, and when their feet touched the waters would be cut off, and it was so. Can you imagine the centuries, people watching from the rooftop of Jericho, seeing the priest carrying the ark coming closer and closer to the waters of Jericho, and it's in the spring and the flood stage, thinking to themselves, what are they doing? They're going to be swept away and drowned. But when their feet touched the waters stopped. Then they were probably thinking, well, we're in trouble now. Then all the people pass over on dry ground. In chapter 4, the Lord spake to Joshua, telling him to select a man from each of the tribe and collects 12 stones from the Jordan as a memorial of the crossing, and set them up in Gilead, east side of Jericho. So the Lord dried up the Jordan as he did the Red Sea. We're going to move on to chapter 6. Jericho at this time was under siege. There was no one going out or going in. How many times did the Israelites or the army of 40,000 men circle the city? 7. It's not a trick question, Mark. No. Well, okay. Verse 3, and ye shall compass the city, ye all men of war, go around the city once. Thou shalt do this 6 times. And the seventh priest shall bear before the ark 7 trumps of rams. And on the seventh day thou shalt compass the city 7 times. And his priest shall blow the trumpet 13 times altogether. Now some people say the seventh day, and 7 times going around the city and going to war is not a very good Sabbath day activity. It doesn't really say that the seventh day was the Sabbath day. It's the seventh day in chronological order or whatever. But anyways, hopefully, but if it was one of the days on the Sabbath, it was a day of a brisk walk and listening to music. Hopefully it's what it was. Anyways. And verse 10, and Joshua had commanded the people, you shall not shout, nor shall you not make any noise with your voice. And neither shall be any word proceeded out of your mouth until the day that I bid you. Ye shall shout. No talking, no speaking, once around the city and going back to camp. The second day was the same, once around the city and back to camp. What do you think was going on with Rahab in the city? She knew that the city was doomed, and it was only a matter of time before its fall. She believed that those in her house would be saved. She went to her family first, and then to friends, asking them if they wanted to be saved and would worship the God of the Israelites. And she had to be fearful and not to arouse too much suspicion from the king or the soldiers. And it was like Noah with the ark. Come in and be saved. Come into my house and be saved. If not, you'll more likely be lost. The fourth and fifth day, once around the city and back to camp. Back to verse 15. And it came to pass on the seventh day that they rose up early, about the dawning of the day. And they came and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. And only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass on the 7th time, when the priest blew the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. And the city shall be accursed, even, and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, and all that are with her in her house, because she hid the messengers that was sent. Does numbers matter to God? When he has the commandments, laying out what day to worship, doesn't mean that we can go on any day that seems to be popular. In verse 20. So the people shouted when the priest blew the trumpets, and it came to pass, when the people heard the shouts of the trumpet, that the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat. And the people, the soldiers, went straight up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. So the walls of Jericho came tumbling down, and the soldiers that were standing straight, looking towards the city, walked right in and took the city. In verse 22 through 25, but Joshua said unto the 2 men that had spied out the country, go unto the harlot's house, and bring out hence the woman and all that she has, as ye had swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab, her father and mother and her brethren, and all that she had, and brought out all her kindred, and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold, and the vessels and the brass and iron, and they put to treasury in the house of the Lord. And Joshua slaved Rahab the harlot alive in her father's household, and all that she had. And she dwelleth in Israel even to this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent out to spy Jericho. Now, in closing, it has been written by some scholars that one of the two spies was named Solomon. And if you look at the book of Matthew, in chapter 1, beginning with verse 4, and Aram began Amminadab, and Amminadab began Nason, and Nason began Solomon, and Solomon began Boaz of Rahab, and Boaz began Obed of Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David king, and David became the king, begat Solomon, and through David's lineage, through Christ was born. Now this should give us hope, and that God can use a person with somewhat of a suspect past in life to be used in a mighty way. And God can use each and every one of us if we are obedient to His calling. This time, let us